Okay. So friends, good morning. How are you today, friends?
I'm fine.
Fine, all right. And here we have Miss Juwita. Good morning, Miss Juwita.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, friends, as you know, today we are going to have a special day. What is the special day? That is the day that we will spend with someone. Actually, you haven't known yet, but later on we will know each other. Yeah. uh, she spends her time just for us today, guys, and so we must to be grateful for it. Yeah. All right. Our special guest today is Miss Juwita. Please say hello to Miss Juwita, friends.
Hello, Miss Yuvita.
Hi,
Hey.
Sylvia.
Hello, Miss Yuvita.
Hi.
Yeah,
Hello, Miss
Miss.
Yuvita.
They are all my students actually at grade 7, and I
Right?
am the homeroom of them. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Miss Juwita actually is my friend. We met around 3 years ago in some place in Bandung, right, Miss Juwita?
Yes.
And later on, we become a friend. And I'd like to show you about the profile of Miss Juwita here. Yeah, this is the profile of Miss Juwita. Her full name is Juwita Purnamasari BR Ginting. And then she was born on Merauke, July 16, 1992. And she graduated from Cendrawasih University. Now she works as a teacher and English voice program presenter at Pro One RRI Merauke. And yeah, she is active in Kelas Inspirasi Community in Merauke and Sobat Inspirasi in Merauke. Later on, you can check at Google maybe what is Kelas Inspirasi and Sobat Inspirasi. It's a very huge community for educators. Okay, today Miss Juwita will accompany us to travel around Papua today, right, Miss Juwita?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
So please strengthen your seat belt because we are going to have an exotic weekend today. Yeah? But before we fly to Papua, I'd like to present you about our activity today. The first one will be opening, and then the second one is Miss Juwita's turn to take over this meeting, and then the last part is closing. Yeah. So without any further ado, let's start our weekend today by praying together. Are you ready, friends? Thank you, Kat, for the beautiful morning. We would like to have cross-cultural understanding activity. Bless us, please. Amen. Okay, that is the opening. And now, please, Miss Juwita, now it's your time to take over this meeting. Please welcome Miss Juwita.
Hey, so it's my time.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I want to ask you, can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Miss.
All right. So, how can they call you, sir or Mister?
Yeah. I can be called Mr. or Sir. It's okay.
Okay. So can you please help me to share the screen
All right.
because it's hard to share from my computer. Okay. So can you please make it? All right. Thank you, sir.
You're
So, hi
welcome.
everyone. Okay. Hi everyone. How is life? You can open your microphone. You can unmute your microphone because I prefer to make it interactive. Okay, guys. All right. So, today we're gonna go to Papua. Well, I have a question for you guys. What comes in your mind when you hear the word Papua? Actually, so somebody can answer my question? Kalau misalnya dengar kata Papua itu apa sih yang muncul di pikiran kalian? You can unmute your microphone.
Forest.
Forest, okay. And then what else?
Cold.
What?
Cold. Mas.
Cold.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Rumah Honai.
All right. Yes.
Beautiful
And
place.
beautiful place. Okay. Yes. So I think you have like positive words, yeah, when you hear about Papua. Okay. So today I'm gonna show you a little bit about Papua. Well, actually, when we talk about Papua, we have many things to talk actually, but today I'm gonna show you a little bit about Papua. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, do you know Raja Ampat? Have you ever heard about
Check. Oh,
next slide, sir? Hi, is Mr. Anggara still here? Okay, next slide. All right, so this is one of the beautiful beach in Papua. So next, I still have 2 or 3. Okay, so this one is, you know this one? What is it? Have you ever seen this?
Raja Ampat maybe or something.
Mhm. No, actually it's Danau Sentani. It's Sentani
Oh.
Lake. Yeah, it's in Jayapura. So it's Sentani Lake, yeah. And then next. Okay, so what is it actually?
Do you know what is it, guys?
Because I think in Indonesia we can just find it in this place.
It's like Hengstone.
Okay, it's termite house.
Oh,
It's termite house
termite
or
house.
rumah semut. Yes, rumah semut. So they call it here, they call it rumah semut or musamus, but actually it's not from ant. It's from rayap. You know rayap?
Yeah.
Ya, so jadi ini adalah rumah semut ya, guys. And you can find it only in Merauke, in my
Oh.
place. So now I'm in Merauke, and you can find this place in Merauke only. I think in
Oh.
Indonesia, I think in Indonesia or in the world, we can just find several places who have this kind of thing, this
Okay.
rumah semut. Okay, so it it's from the saliva. What is saliva? Sorry, air liur. The saliva of the termite, rayap.
Oh.
Kayak itu. So they can make it. They make it for like 1,000 years. So it can be like huge like this.
Wow.
So yeah. Okay, so it the place called Wisata Seribu Musamus. When you Google it, you can find it. All right, next. This is another beach in Jayapura. The beach, the name of the beach is Besji. Besji. And the first one, the first beach that you saw, was what is it? Bosnik Beach in Biak. Okay, next. All right. So guys, when we talk about Papua, actually there are many things which are interested to talk. The first one, let's talk about the language. Okay, so Papua has more than 270 languages. Jadi Papua itu dia punya lebih dari 270 bahasa. Okay, it's only in Papua. It's bahasa, not dialect. It's language, not dialect. Okay, so um, each tribe has their own language. Jadi setiap suku itu dia punya masing-masing bahasanya sendiri, and even they are they are from the same tribe, but they live in different place.
Mm-mm.
They will have like different language kayak gitu. So kalau misalnya mereka tuh misalnya dari suku yang sama tapi tinggalnya di tempat yang berbeda. I mean like the village or ya the kampung itu is different. Kalau kampungnya berbeda itu akan ada bahasa baru. It's not dialect ya guys. It's not dialect but language. Kalau dialek kan like Javanese, you have like medok. Am I right, Mister?
Yes, Medok. Yes.
Yeah, that's dialect, right?
Yeah, yes, that's right.
But the language is different. Language is like I don't know. People from Klaten and Jogja, Jogja. I mean like Bantu. Do you have the same language?
Yeah, we have the same language,
But in
but
Pap, what do you want to say?
actually maybe we have different dialect maybe.
Dialect, yes. But here, we have different language.
Oh, okay.
Not dialect. Yes, we have different language, not dialect. So they have many languages, more
Oh,
than
wow.
20, 270. Okay. So native people who live in the remote area can speak Bahasa Indonesia. So when you go to the remote area in Papua, you can find that many children or even many people can speak Bahasa Indonesia even in the remote area. Di daerah terpencil. So, kalau kalian pergi ke daerah terpencil di Papua, you can find that kalian bisa temukan masih sudah banyak orang, even anak-anak yang bisa speak bahasa Indonesia. Why? It's because they got influence from the people who live there and they are from outside of Papua. Jadi karena banyak sekali orang-orang dari luar Papua yang tinggal di Papua, misalnya the people from Java, because here we have transmigration. So di sini kita punya daerah transmigrasi. So when you go to, for example, in the place where I work, it's actually it's a transmigration area. Jadi di tempatnya Miss kerja itu adalah daerah transmigrasi, but you can find native people there who can speak Javanese language clearly, fluently. Jadi, yes. Jadi di tempatnya Miss itu ada orang Papua yang bisa bahasa Jawa dengan jelas dan juga lancar.
Wow, really?
Yes, my friend can speak Javanese language fluently, even with the medokness.
Okay.
Yes, and she's native people. She's a native. Jadi dia orang Papua asli, but because she get influence from his environment, her environment, yes, so she can speak Javanese language fluently. And but unfortunately, children who live in town cannot speak their native language. Sayangnya, anak-anak yang sudah tinggal di kota itu mereka banyak, most of them cannot speak their own languages. Jadi mereka nggak bisa ngomong, ada yang udah nggak bisa ngomong bahasa aslinya, their mother tongue, bahasa ibunya kayak gitu. Why? Karena memang because maybe their parents do not speak it at home kayak gitu. Okay, next. All right, so let's actually when we talk about Papua has a lot of cultures, a lot of things. So let's talk about the traditional dance in Papua. So the first one, actually we have a lot of traditional dances. Jadi sebenarnya ada banyak sekali tarian tradisional from Papua, but here we're gonna just talk about several of them. So the first one is Yospan or Yosimpancha. As you can see in the picture, okay, next. Okay, so jadi kalau tadi di gambarnya itu ya, you can see that there are male and female, and they dance it. They dance the dance, and this traditional dance is danced by the youth as the symbol of friendship. Jadi tarian Yospan ini dia di apa ya, ditarikan oleh para pemuda sebagai simbol pertemanan, sebagai simbol ya pertemanan seperti itu. And this traditional dance is from Biak and Yapen Waropen. Where is Biak? Where is Yapen Waropen? Maybe you can search it on Google. Okay.
Okay.
Next. Okay, so this one is Seka dance. Okay, so Seka dance. Kalau tadi, if Yospan is only danced by youth, Seka dance can be danced by all the people like that. So this is the photo of people who dance Seka. And next. Okay, so this Seka traditional dance is from Kaimana, Timika, and Fakfak. So Kaimana, Timika, and Fakfak, they are region. Mereka itu kabupaten. Kayak in Java, in Central Java, you have in Jogja you have like Klaten, Bantul, something like that, right?
Yeah, Klaten is in Central Java actually.
Yeah, I mean something like that.
Yeah.
That's the regency, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so Kaimana, Timika, Fakfak, they are also regency in Papua. Okay, so this Seka then symbolizes gratitude to the god from the coastal communities. Jadi tarian Seka ini dia tuh sebagai simbol gratitude, rasa syukur kepada Tuhan yang di apa ya ditarikan oleh masyarakat pesisir coastal communities seperti itu. Next. Okay, so this one. Pangkursagu dance. So this is the example, or yeah, the people who dance Pangkursagu. You know sagu, right? You know sagu, sego.
Yeah, maybe all of them, all of us knows a sagu. But
So what is
pangkur,
pangkur? You know pangkur?
pangkur is like tembang mau copat maybe.
No, pangkur is when you want to take the sagu from the. It's like harvest.
The way to take the sagu is called pangkur, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
pangkur. So you see the movement, the gerakan. They are pangkur. Like
Okay.
yeah. So the sagu is from a tree, right? And then when they want to harvest, they want to, what is harvest, Mas?
Panen.
Panen. Yes. When they want to take the sagu, they have to chop the tree into 2 pieces, and then they can pangkur the sagu. They can take the sagu like that, and you can find the caterpillars or the ulat sagu also there. And we also eat ulat sagu. In Java, maybe it's like gendon. Am I right?
Yes, and it's nice actually.
Yes. All right, next. So Pangkur Sagu talks about the livelihoods of the Papuan by making sagu, starting from cutting trees, squeezing water, until processing the sagu. Nah, itu tadi kan, jadi itu ceritanya dari gimana sih mereka bisa making the sagu dari cutting the tree, chopping the tree, squeezing the water. Jadi mereka juga, what is squeezing? Apa sih namanya? Mengeringkan airnya, ya memeras airnya, and then memproses sagu itu sampai jadi patinya, like that. So in making the sagu, Papuan often hold rituals in singing and dancing. Jadi ketika mereka mau bikin sagu, mau ngambil sagu itu biasanya mereka mengadakan ritual. They have their own ritual seperti bernyanyi dan juga dancing, menari. So for Papuan, Pangkur Sagu dance is the symbol of cooperation, togetherness, and gratitude to God. Jadi tarian Pangkur Sagu itu sebagai simbol dari kerjasama, kebersamaan, dan juga rasa syukur kepada Tuhan. Okay, next. Okay, Swangi dance. Actually, it's a bit creepy. You know, Swangi. Have you ever heard about Swangi?
Not really, Miss. But is it a war dance?
What?
A war dance?
Yeah, actually no.
Oh.
This dance is okay. Well, first I'm gonna tell you about Swangi. Swangi is like in Java we have Santet.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, like bad spirit, like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Bad spirit. Yeah, like that. So this dance is held to what? To attack to against
Yeah.
the Swangi, like that. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah. So the Papuan dance Swangi dance is originally from the Waropen area on the coast of Cendrawasih Bay. Jadi tarian Swangi ini dia berasal dari Waropen. Waropen di Teluk Cendrawasih seperti itu. And then it is performed by dozens of male dancers. Jadi dia ini cuma boleh ditarikan oleh penari laki-laki. Seperti itu. Berpuluh-puluh penari laki-laki. And it talks about a war among the people with bows and arrows with Swangi. Yes, it's a war then, but between the among the people and Swangi, not among the people. Jadi bukan antara manusia dengan manusia, tapi manusia dengan bad spirit itu tadi. Like that. Next. This one is famous, I think. Cendrawasih dance. Oh, by the way, do you know Cendrawasih? Bird of paradise?
Yes.
Yes. Is it a bird or what?
A bird.
A bird. Have you ever seen this bird?
At Google.
Yeah. So if you see the dancers there, if you see the costume, they look like they're trying to to copy or to to wear the clothes like a bird of paradise, right? Itu mereka lagi coba untuk menggunakan pakaian yang mirip dengan menirukan bird of paradise because they are going to dance Cendrawasih dance, okay? Karena mereka mau menarikan, kalau di sini we call it balada Cendrawasih, seperti itu. Okay, so next. Alright, so this kind of dance comes from the areas of Biak, Waropen, and Wanjamen, and it is performed by dozens of male and female dancers. So ini bisa ditarikan oleh laki-laki dan perempuan. And then the dancers wear tassels to cover the lower body. Jadi mereka pakai rumbai-rumbai. Yang tadi rumbai-rumbai untuk menutupi untuk mengcover bagian bawah badannya, and wear chest and head decorations in the form of bird of paradise feathers. Jadi mereka pakai hiasan bulu cendrawasih atau burung cendrawasih itu di kepala dan juga dada. Next. Alright, so actually Papua has many kinds of festivals. So next. The first one, which is really famous actually, is Sentani Lake Festival. Jadi ini adalah salah satu festival di Papua yang bit famous ya, yang cukup terkenal. And namanya adalah Festival Danau Sentani. It is held in at Sentani Lake. Jadi dia diselenggarakan di Danau Sentani. Next. So this is the picture of Festival Danau Sentani tadi ya. Alright, so it is held annually at Sentani Lake. Jadi dia itu diselenggarakan setiap tahun di Danau Sentani. So we can see traditional dances on the boat. Jadi yang seperti tadi itu kita bisa lihat tarian tradisional di atas boat, di atas perahu, and traditional ceremonies such as coronation of Ondoafi. Well, jadi ada juga upacara tradisional ya seperti apa sih? You know Ondoafi? Ondoafi is tribal chief, kepala suku.
Ya.
Jadi kayak apa sih namanya? What is coronation? Pengangkatan ya?
Coronation, ya, pengangkatan.
Pengangkatan.
Penobatan.
Penobatan, yes. I find it hard to find the appropriate. Yes, the penobatan kepala suku. So in Jayapura they call it Ondoafi. Ondoafi is tribal chief there. Okay. Besides, you can see traditional dances. You can see traditional ceremonies such as coronation of Ondoafi tadi. You can also do culinary. You can also taste many kind of local food. Jadi bisa juga kalian temukan banyak sekali local food yang ada di festival Danau Sentani tadi. Okay, like ulat sagu bakar, like that. Okay, next. Okay, so this one is Humboldt Bay Festival. Nah, this one is the picture of Humboldt Bay Festival. Jadi itu adalah festival Teluk Humboldt, yes, Festival Teluk Humboldt. Next, it is held at Hamadi Beach, Jayapura. Jadi Teluk Humboldt ini, Festival Teluk Humboldt ini dia dilaksanakan atau diselenggarakan di Pantai Hamadi di Jayapura. Okay, and this festival is organized by Papuan Regional Government to promote local wisdom to develop the creative economy in Papua, especially in Jayapura. Jadi festival ini itu diselenggarakan oleh pemerintah daerah Papua untuk mempromosikan kearifan lokal dan juga mengembangkan ekonomi kreatif di Papua, khususnya di Jayapura. Next, no. Cultural arts performances, Papuan batik show, culinary handicrafts from local people, hair weaving, and betel nut decorating can be found in this festival. Jadi di festival ini kalian bisa temukan pameran budaya, and then you can also lihat pertunjukan batik Papua, bisa juga taste the culiner. Kulinernya bisa dirasain, kemudian ada banyak pernak-pernik lain dari yang dibuat oleh orang-orang lokal situ. Next. This one. Balim Valley Festival. Jadi ini adalah festival Lembah Baliem. Okay. So, guys, it's not a war actually. Jadi kalau dilihat di sini mungkin are you afraid of this picture or not?
I'm not.
You're not good. Okay. And then, okay, so if you're not afraid, it's good because actually it's not a real war. Okay. So this Balim Valley Festival, they will show you the war, but it's not real war. Jadi di sini di Festival Lembah Balim ini mereka akan berperang, tapi it's not a real war, bukan perang yang asli. Next. So, yes, it was originally a war event between the Dani, Lani, and Yali tribes as a symbol of fertility and prosperity. Jadi, dia ini adalah sebuah kayak perang antara suku Dani, Lani, dan Yali yang tinggal di Lembah Baliem sebagai simbol kesuburan dan juga kesejahteraan seperti itu. Jadi, it has become a place for strength competition for generations. Jadi, festival ini itu jadi wadah atau jadi tempat untuk kompetisi kekuatan, untuk show their strength actually. Jadi menunjukkan kekuatannya seperti itu. Dan ini sudah berlangsung for generation, sudah berlangsung secara turun-temurun. It is safe to enjoy. Jadi aman ya, aman. Kalau misalnya you want to visit Wamena, itu and then you want to watch festival Lembah Balin, it's safe, ya. It is not only a war between tribes, but also a cultural and artistic performance of the people of the Central Mountains. Jadi ini apa ya? Perang antara suku-suku, bukan hanya perang antara suku-suku, tapi juga kayak pertunjukan budaya oleh orang-orang yang tinggal di pegunungan tengah. The war lasts for 3 days, jadi war-nya itu akan berlangsung selama 3 hari. It begins with a war inducing scenario. Jadi ada skenario-nya ya. Perangnya itu ada skenario-nya, and this festival is followed by more than 40 tribes. Festival ini dia diikuti oleh lebih dari 40 suku. You can imagine that di Central Mountains aja ada lebih dari 40 suku. Seperti itu. And then next. Nah, this one. Have you ever heard Asmat? Ada yang pernah dengar Asmat nggak?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so what do you know about Asmat? The carving maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, the statue, the carving, right? Well, Asmat is really famous actually, even to the foreigners. Jadi Asmat ini sangat terkenal bahkan untuk orang-orang asing ya. Dia terkenal dengan statunya, patungnya kayak gitu. So here Asmat also has a festival, and the name of the festival is Asmat Cultural Festival. Next, yes, this festival is famous in foreign countries. The wood carvings of Asmat are exhibited. Jadi dia punya wood carving. Ukiran kayunya itu akan dipamerkan di festival ini. And then the Asmat tribe is known to have the ability to make good wood carving without drawing a sketch first. Jadi kelebihan dari suku Asmat ini adalah mereka bisa membuat ukiran kayu itu tanpa tanpa membuat sketsanya dulu. Kayak gitu. Jadi bisa secara langsung mereka bikin ukirannya. Tapi itu mereka ada di satu tempat. They have like their special place to do the carving, like that. Maybe they have their own rituals. And it is also featured sculpture, carving art exhibition, Asmat cultural parties, dance attraction, and the local song of Asmat tribe. There will be many artists who show their skills on weaving, boating, dancing, and traditional music performances. At the end of the festival, there will be an auction of Asmat tribal artworks. Jadi di akhir festival itu akan ada pelelangan, dari mereka punya hasil-hasil artworks-nya. Oke, next. Chamorro Festival. So Chamorro is in Timika. This is the picture of Chamorro Festival. Next. Okay, so it is held by Chamorro tribe and began with Kasuri dance. Jadi itu tadi dia diselenggarakan oleh suku Chamorro yang terletak di Timika, dan dia dimulai dengan yang namanya Kasuri dance, tarian kasuari. This dance involves around 30 dancers, and there is a dancer wearing a woven costume as big as a lion dance. Jadi ada satu dancer.
Sorry.
It's okay. Akan ada satu dancer yang menggunakan kostum sebesar barongsai. You know barongsai, right? Nah, jadi this costume symbolizes the kasuri. Jadi kostum itu dia yang menyimbolkan kasuari. You know burung kasuari, right? Dia kan gede banget tuh. It's really big, right? So there is a man whose whole body is painted in black and white with polka dot motif. Jadi ada laki-laki yang dia punya badan itu dilukis hitam dan putih, polka dot kayak gitu. This dance tells about the young man who fell in love with a girl, but the girl's father did not agree. The young man ran into the forest and became a kasuri. When he returned to the village, the villagers did not recognize him and almost hunted him. Finally, they realized that it was the young man who ran into the forest. The young man then taught the villagers the Kasuri dance. Jadi ada satu orang laki-laki yang dia tarik ke dia tuh jatuh cinta sama seorang perempuan cewek, tapi nggak disetujui. Kemudian dia pergi ke hutan dan dia jadi kasuari seperti itu. Dan dia ketika dia kembali ke village, ke kampung, orang-orang itu nggak tahu kalau kasuari itu adalah si laki-laki tadi yang pergi ke hutan. Hampir saja dia itu diburu. Tapi akhirnya mereka tahu kalau itu ternyata anak laki-laki yang tadi lari ke hutan. Kemudian dia ajarkan si villagers-nya itu, orang-orang kampung, how to dance Kasuri dance, bagaimana menarikan tarian Kasuri. Next. Okay, so next. Okay, so now let's move to the cultural ceremony. Okay, the first one, this one is yang paling terkenal kayaknya ya. Bakar batu party. Bakar
Yes.
batu party ini, yeah, it's really famous, right?
Yeah.
Bakar batu party. Yeah, so this is the picture of bakar batu party. Kenapa dibilang bakar batu? Because they burn the stone. Karena mereka membakar batunya. Untuk apa? To cook the food. Untuk memasak makanannya. Okay, next. Yes, jadi kalau tadi kalian, if you see the picture before, itu tadi ada like sweet potato, vegetable, and many people. Itu tadi mereka lagi memproses, they are processing, cooking the food. And it is an important tradition in Papua in the form of cooking ritual among the people in the same village. It is called bakar batu because the procession truly burns stone until they are hot and then stacked on the top of the food to be cooked. The food can be meat and vegetable. Jadi makanannya itu bisa berupa daging dan juga sayur-sayuran. For Muslim, it's okay because biasanya they often prepare like chicken dan sayuran. Jadi biasanya akan dipisah seperti itu. And then it is held as a symbol of expressing gratitude and even to gather with relatives, welcoming happiness, and gathering the soldiers of war. It has different name in different places like Gapia in Panyar, Oka Oba Isogoa in Wamena, or Barapen in Jayawijaya. Jadi bakar batu ini dia punya namanya sendiri-sendiri di tempat di masing-masing tempat ya. Oke. Next. War ceremony. Jadi war ceremony ini nama lainnya adalah traditional ceremony. Yeah, so this is the picture of war ceremony. It's a pregnant woman yang lagi didoakan. Jadi ini ada seorang perempuan yang sedang pregnant, yang sedang hamil. Jadi dia lagi mengikuti, she is following war ceremony. Apa itu war ceremony? Let's check this out. Okay, so it is held by Biak tribe. Jadi dia war ceremony ini dari suku Biak ya, guys. It is related to the religious and social life of Biak tribe. Jadi dia berhubungan dengan religious keagamaan dan juga kehidupan sosial dari suku Biak. Ini ada istilah nih. There is a terminology like this. Go Warbaindo Nanggo Mar. Jadi the meaning is without traditional ceremony, we will be dead. Jadi tanpa upacara tradisional, mereka menganggap bahwa mereka akan mati. Seperti itu. So war should be held by every nuclear family to beg, invite, or ask for protection for their children or themselves from the ruler of the universe in the beliefs of the Biak people. Jadi, war ini harus dilaksanakan oleh setiap keluarga inti untuk meminta perlindungan kepada anak-anak mereka dan juga diri mereka dari penguasa alam semesta menurut kepercayaan mereka, kayak gitu. So if a family does not do war, it will bring disturbance or illness. Jadi kalau misalnya war ini tidak dilaksanakan oleh sebuah keluarga, ini pasti akan membawa bencana, akan membawa penyakit. Gitu. This tradition is often practiced in the form of traditional ceremonies or traditional songs of Biak culture. And the traditional ceremony is sacred because it is believed to protect someone in every transition of his life cycle. Jadi war ceremony ini ini sakral ya karena dipercaya dia bisa melindungi seseorang dalam setiap perubahan hidupnya seperti itu. Biar dilindungi lah, senantiasa dilindungi.
So
Okay, next.
it is like tolak bala, right?
Yeah, like that. Tolak bala. Yes. Next. Okay, so this is Biak tribe marriage ceremony. Yes, jadi ini adalah upacara pernikahan dari suku Biak. As you can see, the people are holding, what is that? It's like a big plate, right? Kayak piring besar. Yes. It actually, people say that the price is really high because it's a porcelain from China. Kayak gitu. Jadi so it's a dowry. It's a mas kawin yang orang lagi mau nganterin mas kawin tuh. Yes, next. So there are two ways of proposing a bride in Biak ya. In Biak itu ada dua cara untuk melamar seorang perempuan. They are sanepen, matchmaking since childhood, jadi dijodohkan sejak masih anak-anak. And pakpuken, official proposing after the bride is 15 years old. Dan juga dilamar secara resmi setelah berumur 15 tahun. The man will bring a kaken, necklace, or bracelet made of beads. Jadi seorang laki-laki akan membawa kaken. Kaken itu adalah kalung dan juga gelang yang terbuat dari manik-manik as a symbol of introduction, sebagai perkenalan. If the proposal is accepted, kalau misalnya lamarannya diterima, the woman also gives a kaken as a symbol of acceptance. Jadi kalau misalnya lamarannya diterima, si perempuan itu akan membawa memberikan kaken juga sebagai simbol diterimanya lamaran laki-laki tadi. Well, in the ancient time, they use kamphar as a dowry. Jadi waktu dulu mereka itu gunakan kamphar sebagai dowry, sebagai mas kawin, a kind of bracelet made of seashells. Jadi kalau dulu itu mas kawinnya itu gelang dari seashells. What is seashells?
Kerang?
Kerang, ya, kulit kerang seperti itu. Today, a dowry can be a roibena, a silver bracelet, or even porcelain from China. Porcelain from China ini yang tadi yang mereka bawa itu piring. Itu we call it piring gantung di sini. Jadi naik level ya, pakai silver bracelet sekarang. Okay, next. Nah, this one. It's a heartbreaking picture actually, right? So this is Ikipalek tradition. If you can see the woman's fingers itu sudah dipotong. They have been cut, right? Sudah dipotong jari-jarinya. Why? Let's see. Next slide. Okay. So, a tradition of mourning of the Dani by cutting a finger joint as an expression of sadness over the death of a loved one. Jadi, tradisi Ikipalek tadi ini sebagai bentuk dari rasa sedih karena kehilangan orang yang dicintai, karena orang yang dicintai itu meninggal. Dan ini dilakukan oleh suku Dani di daerah pegunungan sana. Jadi mereka akan memotong jarinya. Seperti itu. It is usually done by women, jadi biasanya dilakukan oleh perempuan, but sometimes men also do it as a form of sadness. Tapi tidak jarang juga, biasa dilakukan juga oleh laki-laki. Tapi kalau if you go to Wamena, you can find that more women have jari yang sudah tidak lengkap, yang sudah dipotong. Berarti itu mungkin sudah ada berapa keluarganya yang sudah meninggal. Misalnya mungkin itu satu keluarga meninggal. If you see 2 fingers have been cut, berarti sudah ada 2 orang tercintanya yang sudah meninggal. And then they usually use traditional axe or knife to cut the finger. Sometimes they even bite their fingers off. Jadi kadang mereka tuh pakai kampak ataupun pisau untuk memotong jarinya. Tapi kadang-kadang mereka itu yang parah itu digigit digigit jarinya sampai putus. Seperti itu. The pain of cutting finger is considered to represent the broken heart at the loss. Jadi rasa sakit dari memotong jari itu dianggap sebagai perwakilan apa ya, rasa sakit hati dari kehilangan orang tercintanya mereka. Jadi kayak digantikan lah. Next. Nah, kalau tadi ikipalek tradisi ikipalek itu biasa dilakukan oleh done by women. This one, the tradition of nasupalek, ini juga the expression of loss. Ya, ini juga mereka lakukan untuk menunjukkan rasa sedih mereka, dan dia biasa dilakukan oleh men. Apa itu nasupalek? Let's check. Okay. So it is done by the Dani tribe as a mourning by cutting off a little earlobe. Jadi mereka potong sedikit, dia punya apa sih, kupingnya sedikit sebagai bentuk respect and condolences for a family member. Jadi sebagai bentuk rasa hormat ataupun rasa sedih mereka kehilangan keluarga mereka. It is usually done by men, biasa dilakukan oleh laki-laki. Sometimes women also do it, but they have to do ikipalek first before doing this. Jadi kalau misalnya mau dilakukan oleh perempuan, mereka bisa lakukan itu, tapi mereka harus dilakukan potong jari dulu sebelum melakukan potong telinga. Seperti itu. One slice of the earlobe shows their respect for the father, mother, child, or relative who died. Jadi satu irisan kupingnya itu sebagai bentuk rasa hormat mereka kepada itu tadi, father-nya, ayahnya, ibunya, ataupun yang lainnya. They use thin sliced bamboo without anesthetic. The one is wrapped with medical plants. Jadi mereka tuh potongnya bukan pakai knife ataupun axe, tapi mereka pakai bambu tipis. Jadi diiris dia punya telinga seperti itu, tanpa anestesi ya, tanpa adanya kesehatan kayak gitu, tanpa anestesi dari pihak kesehatan. And lukanya itu akan dibungkus dengan tanaman obat. So the person who did this then takes a mud bath, which means that the origin of human was created from the ground, so they will return to the ground after death. Jadi setelah melakukan ini tadi, nasupalek ini, mereka akan melakukan satu ritual yang namanya mandi lumpur. Kenapa? Karena mereka percaya bahwa manusia itu dia diciptakan dari dari ground, jadi akan kembali lagi ke bumi seperti itu setelah meninggal. Okay. Next. Okay, so this one is Asmat death ritual. Jadi ini adalah ritual kematian di suku Asmat. This one ini adalah orang-orang Asmat. Okay, so in the past, the bodies of people who have died were only placed on para atau woven bamboo and left to rot. Jadi dulunya itu orang yang meninggal itu jenazahnya hanya akan ditaruh di para. Kalau di sini kita sebutnya para kayak tempat dari bambu, tempat dari bambu kayak gitu, dan dibiarkan sampai membusuk. The bones would be collected and stored on the wooden trees. Jadi tulang-tulangnya itu akan dikumpulkan dan disimpan di pohon. The skull was taken and used as a pillow. It was considered as a sign of love. Jadi tengkorak kepalanya itu akan diambil dan digunakan sebagai bantal. Jadi kenapa begitu? Karena mereka menganggap bahwa itu adalah simbol rasa cinta mereka sama si orang yang meninggal tadi. Well, ada yang namanya bistetu. Bistetu ini adalah an original wooden statue with carved by the Asmat people. Jadi bistetu ini adalah patung yang diukir oleh orang Asmat, as the belief that the spirit of the people who have died still live in the village. Karena mereka percaya bahwa orang yang sudah meninggal itu spiritnya dia punya roh itu masih ada di sekitar kampung. Next. Okay. Placing the corpse in a mortar boat and provided with supplies of sago and its caterpillar, then release it to the river, so it was carried by the current to the sea, so to its final resting place. Jadi kadang mereka juga taruh jenazahnya itu di dalam boat, di dalam perahu, kemudian diisi dengan sagu dan juga ulat sagu, dan perahu itu dilepaskan ke kali dan akan dibawa oleh arus kali itu ke laut, sehingga mereka itu yang orang meninggal itu bisa sampai ke dia punya final destination, tujuan akhirnya gitu. But nowadays they have buried the corpse with their personal belongings. Sekarang itu sudah nggak sudah tidak dipraktekkan lagi ya. Sekarang itu mereka sudah bisa menguburkan mayat jenazah seperti itu dengan juga menguburkan barang-barang pribadinya, barang-barang pribadi si jenazah itu. Well, men's bodies are buried without clothes, while women's bodies are buried wearing clothes. Jadi kalau yang laki-laki biasanya tidak pakai pakaian, tapi kalau yang perempuan biasanya dikubur dengan pakaian. They bury the body in the forest, by the river, or in the bush without headstones, but the family can find the grave wherever the body is buried. Jadi mereka itu biasa menguburkan jenazah itu di hutan atau di pinggiran kali ataupun di semak-semak kayak gitu tanpa headstone, tanpa nisan, tanpa nisan, tapi keluarganya itu tetap akan bisa menemukan di mana kuburan dari orang tersebut, kuburan dari jenazah tersebut. Next. Okay, so here are several artworks from Papua. Jadi sebenarnya actually there are more than this. Ada banyak, tapi ini several yang biasanya mungkin you have ever known, you have known about it. So we have noken, and then bark painting and tifa. Noken yang di atas 3, they are noken, and then tifa is the musical instrument, and then bark painting is lukisan kayu. Next. Okay, so noken is a small bag used to bring personal belongings or a souvenir. It is generally made from the bark fiber of mandaum tree, nawa tree, and forest orchid. Nylon thread can be used to make noken. Jadi noken itu biasa digunakan untuk membawa barang-barang kita, ataupun bisa juga digunakan untuk membawa. Kalau di sini biasanya ada yang untuk bawa anak, digunakan untuk gendong anak. Kalau tadi, sir, can you back to the picture? Sorry. Oke, jadi noken itu ada yang terbuat dari serat kayu. Kalau kalian lihat yang di tengah, you can see the picture in the center, itu ada yang dari serat kayu. And then noken yang kecil gitu dia bisa jadi besar. So they can bring vegetables, they can bring pig, they can bring their children, their child di dalam noken itu. Dan untuk yang sebelah kanan itu bisa jadi souvenir. I think Mr. Anggara has one of this, right?
I have one of this bag, and of course I still keep what is the clothes of Kasuari, I think.
Oh yeah.
And
great.
it still smells.
Smells good.
Yeah, smells good. Yeah.
Yes. So, but the noken yang dari which is made from nylon thread, it cannot be as big as this one yang dari serat kayu or yang warna-warni ini. Okay, so they can use noken to keep their personal belongings. And yeah, next, tifa or percussion instruments from teman wood which are carved in such way. Jadi tifa itu adalah alat musik tradisional Papua. Dia terbuat dari kayu kayak gitu. And then at the top of the tifa itu sometimes it can made from deer ya, dari kulit rusa ataupun kulit cow, kulit sapi kayak gitu, kulit binatang seperti itu. And then the last one ada namanya bark painting. Bark painting is lukisan kulit kayu. So the most famous bark painting of Papua is from Aceh Island. It's in Jayapura, Sentani Jayapura. the artist paint various kinds of Papua motif on the bark. Jadi senimannya itu dia melukis motif di atas kulit kayu. It is inspired by the environment such as fish, crocodile, boat, birds, and others. Every motif has its own story. Jadi motif yang digambar itu punya masing-masing story-nya, punya ceritanya masing-masing. Next. Alright, I think that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Miss Juwita. All right, guys,
Yes.
it's now your time to make a questions, and later on maybe Miss Juwita will answer your questions.
Trying to.
Okay, please, now it's your time to ask something. It's free for you to ask.
Maybe you want to ask the price of ticket to go.
Yeah, how much does it cost to fly from Jogja to Papua?
It depends which part of Papua.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's different. When you want to fly from Jogja to Jayapura, for example, it will be cheaper than if you want to fly from Jogja to mountain place like in Wamena, Jayawijaya, because the access is quite hard. Jadi it will be more expensive to reach that kind of place.
2 million, 3 million, maybe.
If I'm not mistaken, when I had a flight from Jogja to Merauke, it's around 3, I think.
3 million, yeah.
Yes, it's before COVID. It's 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay. Okay, guys.
It's from Jogja to Merauke, so it will be different.
Okay, here Sylvia asks, how much does Papua carving cost?
How much?
How much does Papua carving cost?
Oh yeah, I think it will be also different. It depends on the the complexity of the carving and the size. If you just want to buy what gantungan kunci,
Keychain?
Keychain, yeah, keychain. I think it is cheap. It's around like 10,000.
10,000? It's still cheap, huh?
Yeah, keychain. But if you want to buy a bigger one, I think it will cost. It will be pricey.
Okay. Another else, please. Okay, Kinara asks, how many tribes are there in Papua?
Wow, there are a lot of tribes here. If you still remember, in Lembah Balim, Balim Valley Festival, it's only in a place. Itu kalau misalnya kalian masih ingat tadi di festival Balim Valley Lembah Balim, there are more than 40 tribes. There are more than 40 tribes which attend the festival. Itu cuma di Central Mountains. It's only in Central Mountains. Itu ada around 40 tribes. So I think there are a lot of tribes here. More than I can say that it's more than like 60 tribes.
Yeah. It's
because Papua is really big. It's huge.
Papua is very rich, yeah?
Yeah. Culture,
Yeah.
and everything.
Next one, please. You may speak if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay, Gracia, maybe. We are still waiting.
Haha. So you have like 13 students, sir?
Actually, we just have 16.
Oh, just
Maybe three of us have some thing to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, Khalid, please. Do you want to ask something, Khalid? Khalid?
I don't have any questions, sir.
What about
Really?
you, Auza? Oh, Sisquan. The other, please. Sekar. I told you to prepare a question, right? Okay, Gracia. Gracia asks, what is the capital city of Papua?
Oh, okay. Yes. Great question. What is the capital city of Papua? Well, the capital city of Papua is Jayapura.
Jayapura, ya.
Yes, it's Papua. Manokwari is the capital city of West Papua. Manokwari.
Oh, what?
Sorong is in West Papua. So Sorong is not Papua, but it's in West Papua. Manokwari, Sorong, Kaimana, they are in West Papua.
Okay. Another else, please. Like, we still have Diandra Lia, and then Hanif, Helen, Fatih, Nathan, Auza. Okay, Auza asks about what is special food of Papua?
Okay. Yes. So special food. We have papeda. Papeda is from Segu. And I bet that you have known about Papua, papeda, right?
Yeah.
Papeda, and we have also, what is it? What is it? Smash taro. Smash taro is keladi tumbuk.
Keladi, do you know keladi, guys?
Talas. Is that the same? Keladi and talas?
I don't know actually. Keladi or talas maybe ya, talas.
Yeah, talas. Ditumbuk. And then Segu caterpillar, ulat sagu.
Ulat sagu is the nicest one. Okay, here Sylvia asks again, do many Papuans still wear traditional clothes?
Yes. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about the traditional clothes, right? Well, if you go to Wamena, or the Central Mountains area, you can find the people who still wear traditional clothes like koteka.
Yeah.
You know koteka?
Yes.
Yeah. So they still wear that kind of traditional clothes, but only a little, only not many, not many of them. Jadi sudah tidak banyak lagi yang pakai itu. And but here in my place, no, they don't wear it, okay. But they still wear it only for special occasion. Jadi cuma untuk apa acara tertentu aja.
Okay, the next one.
Next
Maybe
question.
from, okay, Kali.
Oh, this one is the name of. Whoa! So you want to? What is the name of the stadium sports center in Papua? It is called. Actually, the first they call it Papua Bangkit Stadium, Stadium Papua Bangkit. But now I think they've changed it into the name of the governor, Lucas Lukas NMB Stadium.
Maybe Khaleh wants to register himself to enter Persipura Jayapura ya.
Yes. Persipura or Persidafon?
Or Persiwa Wamena.
Oh, itu. But you cannot play in Papua Bangkit Stadium if you register yourself in Persiwa,
Oh,
right? Because
Yeah.
Wamena is really far.
iya.
Uh-huh. Oh, by the way, Papua will hold like PON, Pekan Olahraga Nasional.
Okay.
So we will be the host for 20th
Oh,
PON.
when?
At the beginning of October, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
But now the athletes, some of the athletes have been here. So there will be 3 or 4 places. Yeah. Jadi akan ada 4 tempat. There will be 4 places for the PON. It's in Merauke, Jayapura, and Jayapura Regency, and also Timika. So 4 places, 4 venue.
Yeah. Okay, the next please. One more ya, one more.
So you can tell me when you want to visit Papua.
Yeah. Miss Juta will pick you up ya.
Yes, but which part of Papua? I'm in Merauke.
Iya.
If you know the song dari Sabang sampai Merauke, so I'm in Merauke.
Okay, the last please. Once more. Maybe yeah. Kinara again or someone please. Okay, Miss. Oh, Fatih, have a questions. Where is the most beautiful place there? I think every single place in Papua is very beautiful.
Yes, yes. So if you like beach, you can. I recommend you to go to Biak.
Biak ya.
Biak. Yeah. Jaipur also has beautiful beach. But if you like savannah,
Yeah.
you can go to Merauke.
Is Jayawijaya in Merauke or Jayapura?
No, different.
Oh,
Jayawijaya is in Central Mountain, di Pegunungan Tengah. So Jayawijaya, when you want to go to Jayawijaya, you have to fly from Jayapura like for 1 hour, 40 minutes until 1 hour, if I'm not mistaken.
We need to fly again?
There is no other access.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so only by flying. If you want to go to Wamena, Jayawijaya, like that. You can go there by ship because there is no sea.
Does it still have the snow in Jayawijaya?
Oh, what is it? Salju Abadi? Yeah.
Yes.
They still. Mhm.
All right. Okay. Is it enough, guys? Yeah. All right, guys. I guess it's time to say goodbye to Miss Juwita. Thank you very much, Miss Juwita. It's very amazing weekend for us to spend our time with you, actually. Yeah. Hope we can meet each other soon, yeah, Miss. Yeah. Maybe if you want to go
Yes.
to Klaten or Jogja, you can call me and I will ask my students to meet you. Maybe, yeah.
I hope that I can visit Clayton later.
Yeah, Clayton, yeah. Or even
Clayton.
if one of us or some of us wants to go to Merauke, maybe we can call you, and later
Sure.
on we can have a journey there, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So
Okay,
thank
friends,
you.
please say thanks to Miss Juwita, friends.
Thank you, Miss.
Yes. Later.
Okay, Miss Juwita, thank you very much. See you soon, Miss,
Thank
and
you
goodbye,
so-
Miss.
Bye. I'll leave the room, right?
Yeah.